Okay, okay, okay. And I'm back to talk about the movie The Babadook and how it relates to shadow work. Okay, so let me tell you first. When I first seen this movie, I didn't know what the hell it was about. I just thought it was about a lady who lost her husband and some weird ass ghost film about a ghost coming from her closet. But then, when I watched it the second time, I was like, what does the ghost represent? And why is the ghost haunting her? Why is the ghost haunting her? What does the ghost represent? Because he kept coming back, and then at the end, when she finally faced the ghost and, went head to head with it, it's like it was this form of transformation that she went through. So I was trying to figure out what the hell that was. So I had looked it up found on Reddit. The author, the director's comment, he said, to confront a person with his own shadow, is to show him his own light. And that really nailed the coffin in for me, because the shadow obviously was the demon, which represented her, and the light was her son. That youthful essence, that godliness, that love that she needed, that she kept basically denying in a sense. And he was fighting for her attention throughout the movie, and which had led him to have behavioral problems, because after the movie, when that happened, when she accepted who she was, he was completely fine. So it was a play on the situation, which I found was very I get it now, which is crazy. It's like her child represented her inner child that was come on, fighting for her attention in the same way the demon was. Because in a sense, they were both showing her something about herself. They were both aspects and reflections of who she was. He represented the light within her, and the demon represented the darkness. Because even though she was grieving and all that, she was making it seem like, all was fine. She would be in bed late throughout the day, and she wasn't really grieving properly. She was just, letting the emotions, take over her, but she wasn't really, taking control of the emotions and cultivating from that and learning from that. She was just, there. So I had wrote this after I had found that quote. And I'll say it again: to confront a person with his own shadow is to show him his own light. The movie was a psychological horror, I would consider it, where the demon that was present was actually what the mother conjured deep inside of her. A demon she created out of negative emotion, grief, and isolation. Our shadow selves reveal parts of us that we like to suppress, that we don't like to express, which will be considered negative. So that's what that represents. She kept, and if she didn't confront it, she kept denying there was a problem, or face it, she began to become consumed by it. So the emotions that she was rejecting began to fester, and it created into this demon that hid in her closet. How people hide shit when they be in the closet, when people hide shit. So that's where, your monsters hide in the closet, under your bed. They hide in dark areas, the darkness. So that's where the demon began to fester, in her closet. So at night, when she found the book, I forgot how she found the book. I think somebody put it in her yard, and she read it to her son. And as soon as she read it to her son, it just started to go on. I guess something clicked, and all that shit started to manifest. And in order to suppress it and cope, because it can't go away, for these are mental notes and moments that'll always be a part of her. She has to acknowledge this demon, face it head on. What made her do that was her realizing that facing your demons, taking control of your emotions, and the love her son was giving her, which, like I said, equal to the light, in spite, was much more stronger than what initially consumed her, and it weakened, or basically it brought things to an attention to not necessarily weaken the demon, but to control it, having it in a controlled setting. So her son that kept bugging her, like, it was crazy because when you look into the movie, she was the like, she literally was the demon. Like, when she was reading the book, the demon was like, you know, let me in, da 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 da. And whenever she would throw the book away, it would always come back. Like, it was haunting her. So when she would have these dreams and these visions and of her son being killed by the demon, it ended up that the demon was her. Like, she was the one that did it because she was the demon. Like, that was her conjured energy that she was suppressing. So throughout the movie, you know, they would show these different, you know, her son behaving in a different way, and he was trying to get her attention and all that, and she was very, like, irritable. Like, she was avoiding so much and dealing with so much and had so much baggage and so much she was holding on to. But then when, you know, the demon kept causing havoc throughout the house, she had to finally, like, chase it down and, like, hound it down and really face it and confront it. And it literally came up to her face. Like, she had to, you know, deal with her shit. And one thing that I would like to say is why you should embrace your demons, because your demons are part of yourself, like I said, that you suppress those negative, that what we call consider negative emotions, that we don't confront, that we don't control, that we don't deal with. So when you don't deal with it, it haunts you. It's considered a demon because it's a monster, basically a little monster that you create within yourself. You know, it will bug at you, it will nag at you, it will recreate this part of yourself, this toxic trait within yourself, to where now you're projecting and you're now becoming one with your suppressed feelings. So that's what the demons are considered. And they're not bad things. Like, these emotions are not bad, but the reason why we consider them bad is because they're not, you know, happy, sad, da 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 da, but they are very much needed. So that, but they would be considered, you know, evil things, because grief and all that, you know, people, they don't want to feel those things, so they consider those bad things. And bad is like equation to evil. When you look at, you know, good is like heavenly and shit like that. And, you know, people, they don't, a lot of times they don't want to face shit, they're scared of it, so it would be considered an evil thing, like a bad thing. That's how we would really see it. But in reality, it's obviously not. It's something that, like I said in the last video with shadow work, it's something that you need to face, and you need to accept it and acknowledge and really deal with it head on. So how monsters feed off fear. What creates this monsters? Why does monsters feed off fear? They feed off of your fear because you're suppressing, no, not necessarily suppressing, well, yeah, suppressing, but they feed off your fear because that negative energy that you're giving out, that annoying energy, that energy where it's like, I'm unfamiliar to this, so it scares me, that energy that you're pulling out, they like that energy because it's like, I want to get to know you more. Like, I want to be in your face since you're fearful of me. And to be honest, I don't think they do that to, they could be doing that to be funny. But in order for you to really embrace something, you need to learn about it and accept it and get to know what it is. So a lot of times, like, your inner demons, they come to your face and scare you so you could learn about who you are. And shit, let me hurry up. That's why they necessarily feed off fear, because they chase you, because they're like, you're running from yourself. Like, I'm you. Like, you're running from just a part of who you are, or just in general of you're running from an entity or a world that you're not familiar with. And we're just here to say hi, like, what's up, girl? Like, hey, girl. You know, they feeding off of that negative emotion, because a lot of times, especially demons, like, they feed off of the, you know, the energy. They feed off energy. So especially, you know, dark entities and stuff like that. But that's basically all I wanted to talk about when it came to the Babadook. You can watch the movie and learn your own perspective on it, but that's what I gathered. You know, her child was a representation of her inner child, and was a representation of her inner child, And the demon was a representation of her emotions that she suppressed and repressed within herself. And her inner child was basically like tugging on her, you know, trying to give her that love. But because she didn't deal with her demon, she wasn't able to accept it, you know. So she would just push it away and just basically like hide from herself. To not just hide from the world, but hide from herself under her covers in her bed. So, you know, she was depressed. So that's the movie. You should check it out. I'm pretty sure they still got it on Netflix. If not, I'm pretty sure you could find it somewhere on a free app. But I love that movie when it comes to like the representation of just shadow work and different things like that. Like, and then in the end, you know, her and her son was happy. She got over her husband's death. You know, she was really dealing with grief and stuff like that. So she finally went to therapy. When she faced that demon, she finally, you know, realized she can't hide from herself anymore. She has to face the things that scare her and that, you know, make her feel, you know, these negative emotions. She has to face that in order to move forward within her life, in order for her son to be happy and to be accepted and loved by her, because that led her to neglecting him. And then, you know, that neglect inner child, you know that. So in the end, she was doing a barbecue. She went to the basement where the demon was, and the demon was like chained up. So she would go and tend to the demon, feed the demon, you know, take care of the demon, like calm the demon, like pay attention to that part of yourself that you always hid from. So it's like that balance. It's like, here go, I'm living in my light, but let me take care of my darkness. Let me tend to my darkness. Let me face my darkness. Let me not feed it, but tend to it. Tend to my darkness. So I won't fester up and get hungry and wild and break out this closet again and start hunting me again. You know what I mean? So you always have to face your demons. You always have to do your shadow work in order to stay up to date. And of course, you know, things fall short and stuff. This thing is a cycle. It's not a linear path. Like, healing isn't linear. You gotta really like take time to yourself and really like give yourself time. Don't be hard on yourself when it comes to this. That's another part, is like being calm and knowing, like, just having that awareness within yourself about yourself, and knowing when it's time to like go within. And even if you don't, you know, don't be hard on yourself either, but that awareness will help you like, okay, so what do I have to do? Why am I feeling this way? It'll snap you into that aspect of doing the work on yourself, because it's all about what you do for yourself. You know, one thing you don't want to do is feel bad for yourself all day, every day. You have to evolve and you have to change and you have to ascend. Like, in order to ascend, you have to work on yourself and work on your body, your energy body, your spiritual body, and all that, you know, so you can evolve and change and grow and really be able to follow your path without many blockages. Because a lot of times the blockages are created from the things within ourselves that we haven't healed from or dealt with. You know what I mean? A lot of the times the shit that we go through, we really don't have to go through if we listen to ourselves. And that's what listening to your higher self means. So that's all I wanted to say. Peace and happy works. If you need any advice or any of that, just DM me and I'll be there for you. I'll be there. But anyway, peace, love, and hair grease. Baba greetings. Bye.